Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
Call me Athena P, because I need to give you the lore of this one. I didn't really like Mean Girls as a franchise. I know that's gonna be a taboo thing to kind of say on the internet. To me, Mean Girls has always felt like Diet Heathers. Similar templates, very different executions. After all, like, Heathers has actual executions, so you can't really top that. They're both franchises with a movie, a musical, and the one we don't talk about, which, yes, I've watched all three of both, but I think for me, Mean Girls feels so much more plastic, and it should make sense because the franchise is literally about the plastics. However, both franchises have had drastically different receptions. Heathers is built within the 1980s counterculture, while Mean Girls has had a defining impact on the culture of the 2000s, to the point where the film is still extremely popular in the 2020s. But then we get to the musical, and let's just say it, folks, those heels were not made for Broadway. The Broadway version of Mean Girls felt like they were trying to fit a triangle peg into a square hole. They could place it, but they couldn't necessarily fill it completely. Certain songs wind up being standouts. I still love everything Regina sings, but I don't think the stylization of Broadway fits the story of Mean Girls, where we ultimately got a musical that felt for me ultimately like a jumbled mess. Which at this point is pretty on par for the franchise as a whole. I'm not a big fan of the movie either. Regardless, I've had kind of a soft spot for this show since I saw it on tour in high school with our school's theater club. But I still thought that this movie was going to be a total disaster, on par or worse than Dear Evan Hansen, but when I finally watched it, I was wrong. This movie slaps. I was expecting the film's cast to be your standard fare of a musical adaptation. You have some roles being reprised while others are being played by big-name faces. Casts can often seem so shallow in these regards, but I think that they nail this one down. Starting from the alumni from the movie, Tina Fey and Tim Meadows reprise their roles, and while both have minor jobs here, they work even better than they were originally, where you can clearly tell the growth and passion the two have had over these 20 years, and it feels like a good throwback. Meanwhile, the plastics are genuinely each fantastic at portraying their characters. Renee Rapp, Regina from the original, has the complexity down pat in a better way than the character's ever been seen before. I spent this entire film feeling so bad for B.B. Wood as Gretchen, to the point where I think she has her most sympathetic portrayal to date. She feels so fragile and not well in this world where she's stuck with a toxic friendship, and you just want to give her a hug and make sure she's doing okay. Avantika also nails the bubbly ditziness that's been the staple of Karen for all these years. Now, moving on to our lead, Angourie Rice as Katie. First of all, the family casting is on point with this. Her mom was played by Jenna Fischer, aka Pam from The Office, and the two look so similar that I completely believe it. And similar goes for Regina and her mom, but I think Angourie nails the awkwardness that keeps Katie so endearing as a character. Songs like Stupid with Love and the new song What Ifs nail her energy that she's supposed to have. And I've seen a lot of people complaining about the casting, saying that she can't sing, and I disagree. I think her songs have been tailored towards her with a more folk edge, and it works within the film about how things go. Katie isn't really as socialized to the standards of high school that pop represents, or the weirdness of Janice and Damien, which is portrayed with theater kid style music, which is very fitting. Janice and Damien, however, also managed to be the standouts of the film. Ali Carvalho was already a star in the musical sphere from Moana, but her job as Janice really sells the character, who's been given the best versions of each of the traits that her previous iterations gave, being both petty but also a good friend to Katie who did so much for her, only to get thrown away like that. On the other side, Jaquel Spivey slays Damien, being the most over-the-top and funniest way I've ever seen this character portrayed. And it's at that point where he as a character was the high point whenever he was on screen. Shout out to that doll reenactment scene where he reenacts Janice and Regina's friendship fallout backstory. Okay, with that established, I want to talk about this movie's outstanding co-directors. The newcomer directors Samantha Hayne and Arturo Perez Jr. create a life to every scene of this film. The camera is not afraid to go for interesting shots and capture the choreography well, but in addition they have a ton of really interesting moving shots as they go through the school set, and social media gets integrated into the film very seamlessly, which adds some style and flair to the shots, making them so different than what was before and such a thing on its own and new. Shout out to especially the song Sexy that Karen sings, because I think social media made that song as exciting as it was. Speaking of songs, the film emphasizes adapting over recreating with all the works of the musical. The songs of the Plastics have been fully transformed into more poppy numbers and sound way more fun by extent, while other songs were given a pop edge while still keeping that theatrical feel, such as like Revenge Party and Apex Predator. But the biggest thing is the changes to the track list. Mean Girls nailed what songs were essential, and I don't really miss the songs that were cut, sorry. But everything that they kept flows together for a movie that has a pacing I really enjoy, never feeling like it really slows down, and keeping me engaged with every step of the way. But shockingly, even the new song What Ifs is very fun. It fits Katie's character for the movie more than It Roars would have, and it feels that good blend of pop folk that I think had been at the central of who Katie was. My only major complaint with this movie is Aaron. His actor Christopher Briney still does a good job, but I don't think anything in the Mean Girls franchise has really written him correctly, and he's not engaging as a character really here. So overall, guys, Mean Girls is definitely a film to watch. I felt like the definitive version of the story with the best elements of its prior iterations, with a new coat of paint from the directing and acting that went above and beyond. So I know a lot of you are going to disagree because Mean Girls is very popular and there's a lot of people who think that the slander that I've done for this movie is blasphemous, but come at me, you silly little goobers, in the comments. I'm interested in your thoughts on with the Mean Girls franchise, movie, musical, etc. And if you liked this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos in the future. I mainly do video essays and film analysis, but you'll never know what's hitting your sub feed each week, and that's where it gets spicy. Also working on setting up a Patreon eventually, so give that a check for future exclusive content. And remember y'all, you guys are all so valid, fetch, and amazing. Bye!